Hello there, I'm Tech Dave, and today we're doing something slightly different in that we are looking at some server hardware that I was gifted by a very lovely friend of mine in exchange for helping him do some shenanigans with building a workshop. And the ultimate aim, I don't know whether I'll even get to it in this video, is to be able to use this laptop to remote video edit on this server, which is Hench. So we'll go over the parts in a second, but sit tight and I hope you enjoy the show. So here I am, we've got two Proliant servers in the back of the car, driving home. You'll see more of that later in the video. Here we go, they're absolutely massively well packed, fragile. I've got a brief list of the specs here, which I'm not going to read to you, but I'll show you there's the specs. And I'll see you in the studio. Hello, it's me, Tech Dave. Here we have not one, not just one server. Server one. Alright, server 2. The classic Tech Dave multi-tool. Let's have a look what's inside. I do actually know exactly what's inside, but I'm intrigued to see what it looks like. So I don't know what the case looks like on either of them. I assume they're the same case. So basically there's two servers here. One is for a friend of mine who's a PhD physicist. He's going to run it potentially bare metal with Windows 10. Oh my god. I have wanted server grade hardware for a long time. Oh, it's smaller than I thought. Much deeper. Let's have a look. Let's get you off here. Hold on, switch angle. Right. So, it's much smaller than I expected it to be, which is good. Let's see if I can get a wide enough angle on that. So I was expecting it to be a lot longer, so it may fit under there, which is what I was going to do with it. But it's quite a lot deeper, so let's get it out of the box and then I'll be back. Let's. Whoa, that's heavy. Jiggle. Right. What's this in the box? There's something else in the box. Some cables. Right, there we go. So currently, I've only got 2 drive bays populated, but there's a lot of potential drive bays there. So we've got 2, what has it got? 25 bays potentially available. They all look like SATA, but I think they're actually SAS. So that's interesting. But we've got 2 bays there, which are hot swappable, but I don't quite know how to. There we go. So we've got. Let me switch camera. So we've got 2 600GB 10K SAS drives, HP, and they should be matched and the same on both servers because they're identical specs. Oh no, it's not quite slotted in. We've got a little VGA here. Look, we've got the Intel Xeon. So here we are. As I said, the aim is to use this server as a remote workstation. I say remote, like local remote workstation, so that I can use the X1 Carbon to edit and render and video edit. So I'm going to try and edit this whole video, for example, in DaVinci Resolve, but with DaVinci Resolve running on this system and then remote into it using parsec. So that side of things is relatively straightforward. Like I can get parsec up and running. But what ideally I would like to do is run proxmox as a type 1 hypervisor. So the basic install will be proxmox, then virtualize Windows 10, then pass through GPU so that copy of Windows 10 can use the graphics card, which I'm going to sort of negotiate putting in once I've got proxmox up and running. Fingers crossed that works. And then remote into the VM using parsec. So this may not work, I may not achieve my goal, but this is going to be the process of me doing it. While I'm here, I'll tell you the specs of the server. I've actually got, I don't know how much you've seen, how much footage I put in the intro, but over there, underneath, in that second box, is the same server again, almost identical, slightly different RAM brand, but other than that, they're identical. And the idea is that I'm going to build, I'm going to do one is for me, and then the other one is for my friend who is a professor. I won't say who he is in case he's uncomfortable with that. A really clever guy, really fascinating guy, and we had the idea of using server grade hardware, which then in future videos we're going to try and get the noise level down. We're going to make a few modifications to the case. We're going to do all manner of crazy things to get it working. For him in his studio, and for me, I'm probably going to have a server rack that I'll fit in somewhere, and I'm going to start getting into a bit of home lab stuff, possibly just for hobbyist reasons. And while I'm here, I'll tell you, actually no, I'll cut to a different angle and then I'll tell you about the specs of the server. So here's the server. We're going to open her up. I've included the power supply carefully. Slide this bad boy off. I think I probably have shown a bit of this already, but I'm going to go through and name the components. Might be a bit sketchy doing this camera wise, but it should be alright. So here we've got the motherboard, the whole board. Let's get a good angle there while I'm talking about it. The whole board is a Proliant DL380p Gen 8 version 2 2U 25 x 2.5 inch small form factor drive base, Proliant, HP Proliant. One of the caveats to it is it was bought with the remote management module. I can't remember exactly what that's called. But the ILO or the CBCTO, I guess you would call it. Let me get in so you can see my pretty face. So yes, the remote management module doesn't work, and that's why we got them so cheap. Which I'm not going to tell you the price because I don't know it, and it's probably not really relevant. But the CPUs we have in here are a Xeon E5-2650 version 2, two of them, at 2.6 gigahertz. I believe they turbo up to 3.3 all core, maybe 3 all core. 8 giga somethings, GTs, 20M, 20 megabytes of cache. The 8 cores, so 16 threads, so over 2 of them we've got 32 threads, 16 cores, 32 threads in total. We've got, as I've showed in some of the footage already, we've got 4 DIMMs per system of 8 gigabytes each with a grand total of 32 gig. We've got dual power supplies for redundancy. I believe they're both 460 watt. I'm just checking my notes here. This is the information from the delivery. So yeah, dual 2 per system, 460 watt platinum plus gold rated. Oh no, platinum rated power supplies. Excellent. Around the front, which you'll have seen in some of the footage, we've got dual drive bays. What else? We've got SFP plus, so 8 or 10 gigabit. I think 8 gigabit per second Ethernet, which is kind of here. Don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. What else? And I believe that's all that's noteworthy about it. We got heat sinks and there's 6 massive fans. There's only 2 drive bays populated, and I'll just quickly show you. So down here is the dual either 10 or 8 gigabit Ethernet there. There's 3 slots for PCI cards, but this might be a bit weird to show you. I think it's already been shown. There's only what looks like 4x PCI brackets, so I may have to finagle and wangle around and kind of orchestrate it so that I can put a 8x or 16x graphics card in it. But that's the basic specs. Now I don't know again what order the footage is in, but I'm going to put proxmox on this now and faff around, because I actually made a lot of footage that I didn't use, experimenting with trying to do full virtualization. Sorry, showing off my lockdown belly. I tried to get virtualization working on some desktop computers and failed because it didn't have IOMMU, so that I couldn't use GPU pass-through. So I'm going to switch over to capture card, fire up the machine, show you a bit more about it, show you it all working, and also install proxmox. Peace. I would expect things to get quite noisy right now. Actually, let's switch back to the other angle. I would expect things to get quite noisy because I'm going to plug in the power supply. In theory, I should be able to switch to capture card and then it will display on this monitor just to the side here. But it's via a VGA to HDMI converter going into my Elgato HD60, so we'll see how that pans out. Last time I fired it up, it just worked, but I don't know whether we'll get video signal through the capture card. In we go. One power supply for now. I will fire up. I should expect this to power up. Drum roll, please. Although I powered it down before, so maybe that's why it's not. Let me just press the power button. La 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 la! Now we're hoping for a signal on this monitor. Let's see if the capture card picks anything up. We may be out of luck with that. So it might not be in range. Let's see. Hold on, I'll be back once it's booted. So yeah, that didn't really work. The capture card won't seem to pick it up for some reason I can't quite figure out. Probably because it's really low resolution, which is fine. Let's get over here. So at the moment, as you can see, we went through BIOS and it's just waiting for an operating system now. Not actually making that much noise given the fact it's a server, so I'm quite pleased. But yeah, I'm going to power it down with the power button down here. Just one boop. That should shut itself down slowly and properly and carefully. And then the next thing to do, which I'm going to go to display capture to show you, is how to get proxmox 7 stored to USB stick. In fact, I don't really need to show you that, but I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do. Might not include it. See you in a sec. Here we are then. So we're on the proxmox.com and the download section. I've just, as you can see in the bottom left corner, downloading it. I've got 6 minutes left. They do have a BitTorrent you can download, but I just got the direct ISO file. I've also already downloaded somewhere in all this junk parsec, but that'll come to later, and somewhere or other I've got an earlier version as well, just in case, which is this one here, 6.4. I'm going to flash it to a USB with Rufus, and then I'll show you what happens when I boot it. The likelihood is that, as far as I can tell, I won't be able to capture card it at all. So I'm going to set up a couple of different cameras, one looking at me, one looking at the screen, and hopefully we'll be able to get good lighting and you'll be able to follow through with what I'm doing. I will say this isn't a tutorial in any way, shape or form. I am like weapons grade new to enterprise hardware. I don't know what I'm doing. I probably make loads of mistakes, and feel free to go down in the comments and correct those mistakes in a polite fashion, because that would really help me out. Don't know how long this video is going to be. It may end up being a series, because I don't want it to go over 15-20 minutes, so it may just be a series of videos where I try to achieve the goal as mentioned at the start, which is to get my X1 Carbon to be able to remote edit on this server. So yeah, let's I'll be back when I'm got proxmox flash to USB, and then we'll go from there. So at this point, I turned off the camera and just troubleshooted and experimented for around 10 hours, maybe 12, I've lost track of time. Where do we get to? The conclusion that I've reached so far is that the best operating system that we can use on this server over here, which I've turned off because the noise, the best option is to install an SSD, which I did, 128 gig SSD in RAID 0, and then install Server 2019 directly onto that, so Windows Server 2019. And then what I'm about to do is put the other 3 drive caddies I've got in a RAID 1 or a RAID 5, basically just turn them all into one giant disk for storage. And then I've also ordered what is it? I ordered a quadro graphics card. Alright, I'll just skip to the Quadro K5200 8GB, which can run off PCI power from without any extra external power connectors on the server. I did some basic testing, so I installed Windows Server, I installed DaVinci Resolve, I installed parsec. You can dial into the server. The only limiting factor at the moment is I've only got a 1 gig Quadro 600, meaning that any meaningful testing would be a bit redundant because it's hugely bottlenecked by a 1 gig DDR3 graphics card. So I may include some extra footage at the end here, just of it running and showing you using parsec. But basic conclusion is I need more parts, and with the resources I've got I can't do anything immediately to resolve that. What else? So I tried ESXi, temporarily somehow managed to get GPU pass-through working for the Quadro 600, and then it just failed arbitrarily after a full Windows 10 install and VM made, and I made this beautiful VM, and it took a long time, and just like configured it just right. It couldn't get networking to work, which was annoying as hell, and then the GPU pass-through just failed arbitrarily. So I reverted back to the Windows Server install. So I think I'm going to move over to capture card and camera and show you just basically proof of concept that once I've got the parts, this is going to be a sweet setup. And I wanted to emphasize as well, one of the cool things about this is that if I can edit on this, it means that this can be in another room, eliminating one of the primary mitigating factors as to why people don't generally use these things outside of big businesses, which is mitigating noise. So I have a cupboard that I might be able to put it in, or various solutions that I'll be looking into in future videos, but yeah, basically in theory it works. So I'll be right back. Alright, hi, I'm up here now. So where we're at the moment, I've got parsec running on this laptop, which you can see here, which is my X1 Carbon. At the moment we get an error, which you'll see if I try to connect to the server, which is what you're seeing all around me, which is being capture carded from the server. So I'll show you the error. I assume it's to do with the graphics card, because it's 1 gig DDR3, which is not quite enough, because it says the host encoder failed to initialize. However, if I was to take over my desktop for a second, which might be a bit odd, but yeah, I don't know whether you can see that, but I'm able to move the mouse on my desktop now. So there's not much further I can get with it at the moment, just because I'm waiting for that 8 gig quadro to arrive. And the other thing that I really want, so let's go to here. The other thing that I really want is to be able to have another drive separate from the whole drive base, which is doable. Excuse me. Which is doable. I just need a little DVD CD drive SATA adapter to standard SSD adapter, and then I'll just populate all the base. So I'm pretty much at a precipice of, like, I can't really achieve much more with this in this process. I hope this video has been vaguely interesting to watch. I've kept it quite short as possible. It's just kind of a trial run just to demo the hardware that I've got so far, really. So I assume you can hear me over the sound of that bloody server. I've been Tech Dave, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share with anyone that might find it interesting, and click the bell icon so you can find out when the next installment of this video is, because this is going to be a series as I try to get to the point where I can fully use my server via this laptop and any other of my many ThinkPads, because the aim is just get this horrible roaring mess as powerful as possible, store it in another room or another area, and then just be able to use my laptop with this just ridiculous workstation enterprise grade hardware to do all my video editing and take some of the stress off my decent but relatively getting to be a bit aged desktop. So yeah, I've been Tech Dave, thank you for watching. Peace.